I titled today's broadcast, Ask for More Discernment. And I feel like this is a topic that is so on, the heart of the Lord and what, he was talking to me about today. And, in this day and age that we're in, we have so much need for discernment to be able to, the Bible talks about discern spirits. With the prophetic, we need to test the spirit, we need to test the words, test prophecy, and to know. And so it's like, how do we discern? How do you, test? How do you know whether it's, the Spirit of God or the spirit of, or another spirit? How do you know that the person standing in front of you, whether it's at the pulpit or on TV or on a broadcast, are you able to look and see and discern whether or not it's the glory of God on the person, or is it the glory of man? And so these are days and hours where we really need to be sharpened. And, the word that the Lord, that I released last week, I believe it was on Thursday, it was just about this need for us to repent of idols that have been in our hearts and to take our sacrifices and lay them down, like lay our lives down fresh again on the altar before God, whether it is, your own life, whether it is your dreams, your ministry, whatever it is that God has put in our hands, this need to lay things down fresh again on the altar so that God can look and he can say whether or not, okay, this is an Isaac or this is an Ishmael. And so this, why we need to be able to do this and be able to discern what God is saying. I just want to say hello, Colette. So good to see you. And Todd, I saw a message just came through. Good to see you guys. So increasing discernment in this hour, and I found myself reading this week in 1 Kings 22. It's a very challenging passage to look at, but is a passage that I've really been like wrestling with this week, and this is, a time where we see the needfulness of discernment. So we see in 1 Kings 22, this is where, the story of Micaiah, the unpopular prophet who comes and prophesies something different than what all the other prophets are prophesying. But, you see in this picture, we've got, King Ahab, the king of Israel, or the king of Israel and the king of Judah. So Ahab and Jehoshaphat, Ahab's wanting Jehoshaphat to like go to war with him, so they call the prophets and all the prophets say like, yes, go, but Jehoshaphat actually had the discernment to see that all of these 400 prophets who were prophesying according to the desires of Ahab were not true prophets of the Lord. And so he says, are there not any prophets of the Lord? And so, and though Elijah is alive still at this time in history, Ahab refers to Elijah as the troubler of Israel. But he actually says, okay, there's Micaiah. There's this one other prophet, and we see Micaiah come, and he brings a word of the Lord that is not popular and that is not in line with what all the other prophets were saying in that time, and so, and it's not that he takes joy or delight in it, but it's actually, he brought the word of the Lord because he had this, God gave him this vision of the throne room. And so the way that he received the revelation was actually by hearing the conversation between God and the hosts of heaven. And so God gives him this revelation, which he, and there's a weight to carrying the words that God gives you. It's not easy to deliver these things that are hard and that these are weighty. But I really feel like this is a time that we're moving into where there is a weight, an increase in the weight of revelation that God is wanting his people to carry and be able to steward. But you know what, God, and so the trial and the testing of the last season has been to refine us, purify us, grow us up, strengthen our spiritual muscles so that we have the fortitude, that we have the grit and the ability to hold the weight of the revelation that God is going to give us. When you start out in the prophetic, we talk about everybody can prophesy, and I do prophetic training every week. I train people who are not even called to be prophets. You can prophesy. Stay in the realm of encouragement, comfort, exhortation, and then love is the language of prophecy. Because in the new covenant, God is love, and so we're about not just connecting with spirits, information, divination, but we are connecting to the heart of the Father. So it's a flow of love. As we know him, we release him. He is love, but he's also holy. So we've understood and we've been trained in the love of God, in the encouragement, the building, the comfort, all of that. These are all good. They're foundational stones that we absolutely need to leave in place. But there is an increase, there is a weight of revelation that is being added to us. And it's all been, God is love and grace, but God is also holy. And he's really emphasizing this. And I feel the weight of the fear of the Lord on it. Like, he is holy. He is holy. And we have to have a fear of the Lord in this day, in this hour. And so this is why, I was talking about, referring back to my last word, we need to lay down ourselves. We need to tie ourselves as living sacrifices to the horns of his altar and say, God, here am I, have me. We need to, guys, this is the hard word. Like, this is for myself as well. You need to realize you are deceived. I need to realize, every single one of us, we need to be able to have the humility to realize that in some way, shape, or form, you are deceived. And some of us, it is because of, just by virtue of where we live here in the West, we're constantly being programmed and socialized and bombarded with messaging and words and just, things that are just pointing us, believe this way. Okay, we're the good guys. They're the bad guys. Believe this way. Whether it doesn't matter where you fall politically but we're all being programmed to believe a certain thing, and people in other parts of the world are being programmed to believe a certain way as well. And so it's this place where God is wanting to strip down these things, these biases, biases and prejudices and these ways of thinking where, really because it's the purification of our vessels so that he can speak in a new way, in a fresh way, so that, we are these vessels that we're not mixing up, we don't have muddiness inside of us. It's not, not where blessing and cursing come out of the same mouth, but we're just able to steward and be these pure vessels that through which the flow of the river from heaven can come, and so referring back to, 1 Kings 22 there. So Micaiah, he brings this word and he brings the pure, unpopular word of the Lord. And he brings a word and he says, no, you will not have success, but this will cost you your life if you go to battle. And he shows, he even explains what happened in the throne room of heaven and how he saw God in this conversation. And so we get this unique picture into this most holy place where God meets and he sees it. And so it's like this weight, but it's like this weight of revelation. Like when God speaks to you and he puts something in you and in your heart, it's like you can't discount it. And so it's like, I feel that like God has been so strengthening our muscles because what he is releasing in this hour, it's not for those who are faint of heart. It cannot be held by those who do not have a sturdy foundation and who are, weak in the knees, but there's such a strengthening. And I was in worship this morning before going to church and just sitting at the keyboard, and I was just playing around just a little bit. And I just kept hearing like Holy Spirit say, there's a way that is right there's a way that is right in the eyes of man, but my ways are higher. There's a way that is right in the eyes of man, but my ways are higher. There's a way that is right in the eyes of man, but my ways are higher. And this is what I'm talking about, the deception that we need to allow God to unhook us from, because we have been trained to believe a certain way. And so we have certain ways that we lean and we think, we lean in. Even the prophetic, it leans in a certain direction, but the Lord said to me, like, Jenny, I'm sharpening the prophetic. I'm sharpening the prophetic movement because it's a time of maturity and my prophets have become dull. My prophets have become dull. And so how do we get sharpened? How do we get sharpened? Iron sharpens iron. It is a painful process. It is in the cutting. It is, those who are difficult, those who will challenge us. It's us submitting ourselves in this place and saying, okay, God, I acknowledge, like, this is what I think. This is what I believe. This is what I perceive. But God, can you show me where I'm wrong? God, can you tell me where I'm off? Where am I wrong, God? And it's just inviting him first and foremost, but what else is important is also inviting in spiritual mothers and fathers and community and people to be able to speak in, because guys, if we come to this place and you say, well, it's just me and God, it's just me, just Holy Spirit trains me and I don't need any other teacher. This is where we get off, because we need to be sharpened. We need to be sharpened. We need the edges. We need to be brought up higher. We need those around us. We need to come and live in community and hold each other up. And so this is my challenge. This is the exhortation that I got, for me and for you guys as well. Ask the Lord, where are the areas of deception? Where are the areas? And this is we need to let go. There's things that we have been holding on to so tightly, and the season has changed. And in the last season, the posture that you needed, and it was good and it was right, was to hold on with all of your might and all of your strength and all of your tenacity to endure and not drop the baton, and to step into, what God was calling you to, and be like the bulldog with your teeth sunk in and just not let go. There was a time, but the posture has shifted and it has changed. And so now God is saying, okay, I told you to push and advance and to plow through, but now I'm asking you to stop and wait and not, and so this is the things that we've been holding so tightly on, that death grip, guys, is a time to loosen our grip, because what we don't realize is there's some things in our hands that we're holding on so tightly, and God is actually wanting to pull them out of our hands. And so it's this posture of surrender. It's this place of okay, God, take it. And just like Abraham with Isaac, it's how could you ask me? And Abraham just did it. He did it. He knew God's character. He knew that, and Abraham had times of frustration and waiting. And, we see in Genesis 15 where he's God is oh, I am your shield, your exceeding great reward. And Abraham, out of the pain and the anguish of his heart for the unfulfilled promises, he says, but God, I go childless. And he's in this place of desperation, and he holds on for years and years to the promise. He does, create an Ishmael and try and take things into his own hands to bring it into fulfillment. But God says, no, that's not my way. But even then God said, you offer your son, your Isaac, that which I gave you, that which is so precious. You take it and you put it on my altar and you bring the knife to it, because I am asking you for this sacrifice. And so many of us, guys, there is this time. And so, for some, it is just a heart test. And like how God restored Isaac back to Abraham, so you will find that very thing restored back to you. But do not presume that you know the ways of God, because maybe the thing that we're holding and clutching so tightly in our hands and don't want to let go, maybe it is not Isaac, but maybe it is Ishmael. This is where we need to be able to discern, is it the glory of God or is it the glory of man? Is it the glory of God or is it the glory of man? God didn't give them Ishmael. They strove and they brought it to pass in their own, with their own thinking and their own understanding. They knew the promise and they came up with their own way to get there. And so this is where he's saying we need to let go. Will you trust me to give you the blueprints and show you the way forward? And guys, because when we do things our own way, it never works out as good as when we let him have his way. And there's some of us that it's like you could go in different directions and you could, you could do things multiple different ways. And it's like, I can feel like God trusts you. I can see that. Like God really trusts you and he's going to bless you in whatever you do, because you have such a deep relationship and connection with him that he's going to bless the things that you put your hand to. However, there is a specific plan and a specific path forward that he has for you. And so there's things that you can say yes to in this season that are not the best things that he has for you. But if you say yes to the wrong things, they will take your time, your energy, and your attention, and you will not be able to say yes to the correct things, the best, absolute best. The thing, what is the enemy to the thing that is the best? The things, it's the good things. It's not the sin. It's not the plans of the enemy. It's not, but it's our good intentions, our good plans. These are the things that get in the way of the best of what God has for us. And so we need to lay ourselves down again. Lay it down again. And ask for that increase in discernment. Ask for that increase in discernment. And I was talking about 1 Kings 22 here about Micaiah, and then it's the last chapter, 1 Kings 22, and then you cross over into 2 Kings, and it's a transition point between these two books of the Bible, and I think it parallels in some ways to where we're sitting right now. I was just asking God, earlier this week, where are we? Where are we in the scripture? What's going on? And so it's this transition point. And so it's like you see Micaiah standing up and giving the word of the Lord that's not popular. And guys, it's the weight. And he got thrown into prison for it. And then we're crossing over. And so we cross over into 2 Kings and we see, this is where Elijah ascends into heaven. And we see, he's already got Elisha walking with him. He's been training Elisha up. And we see this stepping into this new place prophetically. And it's actually a passing of the mantles. And we're actually in this season of the passing of the mantles and of the maturing and the growing. And so in this place we see, so Elisha is with Elijah, and this is in 2 Kings chapter 2. And he's just watching because Elijah's going to be taken up away from him. And, Elisha has served him for 7 years, and this has been his training where he has been the understudy. He has been in this place because Elijah was a lone ranger running, he couldn't fulfill his destiny to take out Jezebel because he was a lone ranger. He got threatened, and then this spirit of death came after him, and he just, he's holed up in a cave like, God, kill me, I want to die, and God is like, go anoint Elisha. So he took this lone ranger prophet, he made him a father, had him raise up Elisha. And so this is where we're at. And so Elisha, how many of you guys watching this, you resonate with the Elisha? I would say out of, I'm in my year 2 of the Emerging Prophet School that I'm teaching right now. We're really going after studying the different prophets in the Bible and trying to to locate ourselves in scripture and in the different strengths and the qualities throughout the Bible so that we know, how is God called us and wired us. And you know what? Elisha is just always one that I have resonated with. Like, I won't share the story of my, my specific prophet call, but it has to do with God calling me like that double portion prophet, that Elisha prophet. But who was Elisha? Elijah went from being the Lone Ranger to becoming a father to Elisha, who then raised up schools and companies and advanced the sons and daughters, but they always talk about it's Elijah, like, Elijah's the prophet who went forth, but now we're stepping into the days of legacy. And it's the days, like Elisha was just known as the one who poured the water on Elijah's hands. He was known as the servants. And so God is actually raising up the servants in this hour, the ones who have been the understudies, the ones who have been behind the scenes, have been in hiddenness. There is a transferring of mantles that is coming now. And God is wanting pure-hearted, bold prophets that will come up like Elijah, but also like Micaiah, who actually look into the heavens. They don't prophesy in the second heavens. They don't prophesy according to their soul or divination, but they see into the heavens, where the other prophets looked at the king and knew what Ahab wanted, and they prophesied according to his desire, the things that he wanted to say, because he was feeding them and they were dependent on his provision. So they said, if you are dependent on someone's provision, then they have the ability to manipulate the revelation that is coming out of you, which is why God is really also doing a shift in the prophetic movement, where he is actually also moving us away from this poverty mentality, kind of charity, donation, religious mindset that is like, is just poverty. It's a spirit of poverty, and is bringing in this kingdom entrepreneurial perspective, because when you do not need the finances, the donations, the love offerings, the tithe, the money that, people that you expect, okay, if I do a good job, then they'll donate to me. When you're unhooked from that, then you cannot be manipulated to color the word of the Lord, because you know that the money that is going to be given to you is going to be, it might be conditional on whether or not the word released is what they like to hear. And so this is the part of the purifying of the prophetic. We're moving into a new era. It's a passing of the mantles. It's, for Elijah, God took him up, his mantle dropped, and Elisha picked it up. Wow. And I just speak against any miscarriage of destiny, where there has been like a spirit of like abortion that has tried to go out and has tried to miscarry people from stepping into their destiny and their assignments. And I just release life and reconciliation and restoration of the double portion. God is wanting a double portion, and the enemy has been warring against the double portion, where God is saying, no, you will not be limited, but you will have twice as much. And the enemy would like to come in. And sometimes that happens through, insecure people around us who like would cut off. Let's talk Canada. I know you're not all in Canada, but my Canadians, this tall poppy thing that is this like tall poppy socialist kind of mindset that is like, we should all be the same and we should all just play small so that we don't like outshine other people. No, we need to rise up. You need to rise up and you need to take the double portion. This is, it's not time to be cut down into like just a half, because that is what is palatable, but it's time to like, there's a rising up. There's just a rising up, but it's a different rising up, because it's no longer going to be about the prophetic superstars, about the ones where it's like, this name and that name. And these are the ones who have all, the corner on the prophetic market. And it's not going to be about that, but it is going to be a rising of a nameless and faceless generation and prophets who don't even care if people know their names, but they are true mothers and fathers in the spirit. And they are, even in their own pain and turmoil of, we see Elisha here. Elisha had Elijah taken up from him. Elijah was his father. It was his father. And look at this. This is not easy. I already talked about Abraham in the anguish of his heart where he said, but God, I go childless. And then here we even see this as, Elijah is taken up, and it's like Elisha cries out. This is 2 Kings 2:12. My father, my father. My father, the chariot of Israel and his horsemen, and he saw him no more. He saw him no more. And so I want to just acknowledge you if you feel, because I feel that there are many who are grieving over the loss of what felt like spiritual parents, whether they were good spiritual parents or not. Because there is a changing of the guard and there is a shifting. And so there has been, we've been in this place of such revolving doors of relationships and assignments. And it has not been for nothing and it has not been random, but God has been strategically aligning. And he is like, it's like we can see one layer of the chessboard, but God sees in all different dimensions that we don't even, and he is playing this masterful game of chess in so many different dimensions that we can't even fathom, and he is shifting and rearranging, positioning us because he is getting ready to call checkmate on the enemy. Yeah. And some of this repositioning, some of this, Elijah had to be taken out of the way so that Elisha could rise up. He could be the father. He was no longer the understudy, but he stepped forward. He raised up the schools of prophets, the companies of prophets, and it was through that he carried out the legacy of Elijah, and through raising up an unknown prophet who he sent to go and anoint Jehu, who then took out Jezebel. And so it's like, this is what he's doing, guys. We have to get beyond ourselves. And this is one of the things, one of the deceptions, okay? One of the deceptions for us who live in the West. We're all deceived in one way or another. So we have to have the humility to realize that in one way or another, we are deceived. And one of this here in the West is, we think it's all about us. It's all about me and my destiny and my ministry and my business and my plans and my comfort and my finances and my this and my that and all that. It's all about me. That's where you fall into the trap like Hezekiah did, where, there's judgment pronounced against Hezekiah, like for this, judgment's going to come on your generations. And he's like, oh, well, at least there will be peace in my days. He didn't really care about the next generation. But we have to have this mindset of legacy. And all you moms and dads on here, you have kids. I see Colette, you got those 4 beautiful, amazing little girls. That's your legacy. You're going to have legacy beyond that. But it's like, this is where it is the legacy. And so we think it's all about us and our dreams and what we're going to do. But it is about your natural children, your spiritual children. For those of you who don't have children in the natural, I do not. Your spiritual children, you can still have a powerful legacy and influence, but we need to get out of this mindset where this self-centered, independent, individualized mindset where it's all about me. Because it's not. It's not about you at all. Though he loves you. And he has good plans for you, and wants to use you and partner with you. And, he wants you to seek first his kingdom, and then he'll add all things to you. But it's not about you. It's about his kingdom. And it's this incredible privilege that he's inviting you into, that you get to partner with him in it. And so, guys, we're in this shifting. It's such a shifting of the, such a shifting season, but God is wanting to do some incredible reformation in the body of Christ. You know, and I talk about the prophetic a lot, that we're going under prophetic reformation. God is reforming, he's advancing, he's maturing, he's chiseling, he is correcting some things. He's humbling. We really have to humble ourselves in this hour. Yeah. Because without humility, he can't use you. In pride, your destiny is forfeited. Because God has to resist you. Yeah, and I love that, Colette. Break our hearts for what breaks yours, Jesus. Yeah, break our hearts for what breaks yours. But guys, this is, I know it's weighty and it's a little like, you know, a little heavy, but it's the atmosphere, the world, like it's weighty. There are heavy things that are going on out there. And, you know, when we were children, we got to act like children and think like children and do things that children do. But now that it is the time for maturity and it is the time for growing up, we have to put the childish ways behind us and we have to step into this place so that we can carry the weight that God wants us to carry and be the new breed that doesn't shrink back at every attempt of being sharpened, that is able to receive the correction of the Father and of spiritual mothers and fathers, that is able to sit in that place of cognitive dissonance where you just think something so deeply in the core of your being, but you're challenged by a different frame of reference, by a different ideology, and to be able to sit in that place rather than just rage and just throw it away, but to be able to sit in that place where we might even be so offended, you know, but we can just sit in that place and say, God, okay, I'm offended by this, but and I don't understand and I don't think like this and this seems wrong, but to sit in that place and be like, actually be able to hear God in that place. You know, and I heard Chris Valentin said something so wise in one of our classes a couple weeks ago. And he just said, we need to be able to divorce ourselves from our opinions. And I felt the conviction on that. Can you divorce yourself from your opinion? Can I divorce myself from my opinion? Because until you are able to do that, if you're not able to do that, that shows that there is a bit of an idol in the heart, a bias, a prejudice, and then that is going to taint the way that we're able to hear from God. Yeah. So you know what? I just want to just release. I feel like there's a weight that I feel, but there's just a real peace too. And it's like I can feel you guys are hungry. You're so hungry. And it's like I can feel your hunger for the more. I can feel your hunger to pick up that mantle. I can feel like just the pulling. It's almost like you're just pulling this heavier weight of revelation and you're just like, God, I just want it, you know. And there is this place like, you know, the kingdom is righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit, you know. And yes, the joy of the Lord is our strength, and there's times to laugh and dance, and we should do all those things often, like every day, you know. But there's this place of just like, I feel like God is asking us to come into this place of peaceful contemplation before him, to come before him naked and unashamed, and to just sit with him and just say, okay, God, here I am, and allow him It's a posture of humility. And it's this place where we can say, God, man, I thought I knew, God. I really feel like it's this way. I really feel like, and this is the laying down our Isaacs, laying down our things on the altar, being a living sacrifice. It's like that place where we can say, like, God, okay, I really felt that you called me to this. I really thought that this was the vehicle. I really thought that this is the way that I was supposed to do ministry or raise my family or go to this school or do this business or whatever it is, where we can say, like, God, I thought, but I just lay it down before you. God, this very thing that I was so sure that you put in my hands, guys, there's grace to just lay it down and actually just feel like, put your hands out before him and just offer that sacrifice, offer that to him again, and just in humility be able to say, God, show me where I'm wrong. Show me where I'm wrong. God, show us where we're wrong. And guys, when you come in this posture of humility before him, and you could just come with a heart that is so tender and is ready to just loosen. I talked about loosing your grip and let go. And when we come in this place, the side of God that you're going to see is going to be very different than when you stand up in pride and you resist him and you get in his way. We think God is all soft and gushy and we have this picture. And yes, God is love. God is love, but God is also holy. And so when you partner with him and you lean into him, and you grow in the place of intimacy, yes, you are going to encounter your daddy. And it's his goodness that draws you to him, and he's going to love you to life, and he's going to be so tender and compassionate and warm towards you. But when we harden our hearts as in the days of rebellion, and we stand up in pride and say, no, I will not let go. I'm going to keep on going in this way. That is where you put yourself in direct opposition to him. And then he himself has to resist you because you've insisted on standing up in pride. And so guys, let's humble ourselves. Let's humble ourselves. Let's humble ourselves. We need to humble ourselves. Yeah. And the next, so there's this really important need to posture ourselves right now. And it's like, I don't know where November has gone. It has gone by so quickly. So we're in this place of needing to rightly posture ourselves, let go, release, get a right heart posture with God, and then step into a time of waiting in patience. And I see God, you need to surrender first, and then God is going to bring us into a window of watch and wait and see what he's going to do. And watch and wait does not mean you're going to sit on your butt and do nothing. There is some active participation in things that he's going to have you to do. But it's this watch and wait period where you are not going to know whether or not God is giving back to you the thing that you let go of, or some of you might not even know what the blueprints are for the next. But I saw this season of watch and wait lasting anywhere from 1 month to, I've seen from 1 month to 4 months. And so for some, it's going to be a short period, but it's a time of this is where the test of whether you've really actually released it to him, because in that time you can't take it back. And in that time we have to continue sitting in this place of humility of God, I don't know, God. But whatever you want, I'm okay with it. Yeah. So it's surrender, guys. Surrender. Yeah. Yeah, call it. Don't you love those times of not knowing? And man, and let's try not to complain too. Let's try not to complain, because I am one who wants to I want to know. I want the blueprints. And I have some areas in my life where I've had to let go of there's certain things that I thought they were going to go a certain way, and that's not actually, it hasn't played out the way that I was seeing it. And so I've had to do some of my pivoting. So I'm release these prophetic words, and it's like, I am walking through it. So there's been a lot of pivoting, and there's been a lot of surrender, and there are a lot of unknowns. There are places where I'm like, okay, God, like, all right, I know you called me. I know you gave me an assignment. I thought, this was the vehicle, these were the ways, but who knows? Like, who knows? We just have to let him show us the way, because the way that he has for us is best. So I just bless you. I just release just a grace in the waiting. Just release a grace in the waiting to you, as you, just for you to feel like, just to catch even this atmosphere of just humility, to come into this place of humility, where you can come before the Lord, knowing that he's the one who formed you in your mother's womb, and just come in this like nakedness and unashamed, and just sit before him. Just sit before him and just allow him to show you the way forward. Because, his ways are always better. And there's ways that we think are right in our own eyes, but he is saying, my ways are higher. My ways are higher. All right, I'm going to transition, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. And I'll do a little bit of prophetic ministry. But first, I want to say hello, Jana Jacobs from South Africa, Diane Wallace, Janice Maines, Paul Maines, Amber Sheets, Kim Miller, Michelle Lee from North Carolina, Carol Duke, hello, Lori Blake Meyer, good to see you guys, Colette, thanks so much for tuning in and watching. I love you, Colette, you're a special lady. Sherry Normore, Sherry's in my prophetic mentorship group. She's such a blessing. Ron King, hello. Okay, if I didn't get your name or you haven't commented for a little while, just drop me a message. Hopefully my internet's okay. It keeps, I don't know. On my end, it's looking a little bit laggy. Yeah, Janice, I want to prophesy over you. I know I prophesied over your hubby last week. Yeah, Janice. Wow, I see, Janice, I see your words. I can see the words coming out of your mouth, and they're dripping with honey. And it's like, it's the sweetness of the Lord. It just oozes from you. And I just see the Lord like, using you in this honey, and it's like a healing balm to so many people. And I just see you like, so being someone who is able to bring refreshing to those who are weary, and refreshing and healing to those who have been in such places of just like so much frustration and confusion. And I really see you helping people to rewrite their stories and bringing them back into alignment with their identity, like really helping them to like sift through those beliefs that they're operating out of, those ungodly beliefs and the things that have been programmed into them, and you really helping them to and that's like the honey coming off of your words and off of your mouth. It's like, it's the sweetness of the truth of their identity, as you're like bringing them back into truth and into alignment with who God says they are. And even if it's not, with Christianese, or I could see you doing it like some in the church, like in Christian circles, but then also outside. And it's like, it's really, it's the character of Christ and the fragrance of Christ that is just so strong in you, that I see you having favor like inside the church and also outside, and God being able to like, even with you overtly sharing your faith or talking about Jesus, like there's just such a magnetic attraction that pulls people towards kingdom things. And so it's like, I see people interacting with you, even if it's like short term or in small ways, but it actually really piquing their curiosity and provoking in them a hunger to like, it's like, well, who is this God that Janice knows? Who is, this Jesus? Like, because the mothering that you bring and the way that you love them and bring healing and restoration is unlike anything that they've experienced in the natural. And so I just see this like really beautiful restorative kind of like ministry that you're operating in. And but you also like, because of the sweetness that you carry, I see you having like, I see you being given access. I see you being given access and influence into certain places where it's almost like, because you're so relationally safe, and you have like equity with people consider you like as a safe person. And whereas some, even people who might be intimidated by people who have like really strong prophetic gifts, or who are like really, sharp and direct in spiritual things, it's like I see God being able to bring you in and actually being able to give you place at some certain tables where actually people will let you in because they think you're one way, but they actually don't actually realize how deep the river is flowing. That you're not just a yes woman. You're not just a like go with the flow kind of like whatever lady, but you are someone who is able to, go really deep and actually ask those provoking questions that is going to get at the heart of the matter. But you do it, you have the honey on your words. And so you do it in such a way that it's able to be received. And so I see you on some like kind of like sneaky, like backdoor, like assignments where it's like, you getting into places where, if people knew what you were going to bring to the table, they maybe would not have invited you to the table, but God got you there because he needs what you carry to be there. And so I just see like, so just embrace those places where you might find yourself like sitting in rooms or tables and you're like, I don't know if like this is really my spot or my like fit or my place or like whatever. Like I see God bringing you in there, and it's, yeah, because you can, I just see you being actually able to get past some of the defense mechanisms that people set up in their insecurities. It's like, I see you being able to like maneuver around like very graciously around some of these obstacles and like actually getting like into people's inner circles where they naturally would just have this like this wall and like, to keep people out. So yeah. You're going in into the inner court. Yeah. And there's just such a grace and protection on you as you do that. So yeah, bless you. Let me know. You can let me know if that resonates with you at all. As always, guys, you can let me know if the prophetic words that I release resonate with you. All right, let's see who is highlighted next. Okay, Paul's saying that's her. Okay, I got confirmation from her husband who knows her better than anyone, so that's so good. I'm gonna have to meet you guys one day in person. You're only a couple hours away. All right, Colette, if you're still on here, if not, I can tag you. But yeah, Colette, man. Colette, I see you. You're just moving. I just see you just have such an ability. You are just like, God has developed such an incredible adaptability in you, and this ability to just like roll with the punches, go with the flow. And I just see like, there's like, the shifts and turns and changes in direction that would sometimes like cause a lot of frustration for people and people get like almost like disheartened. It's like, I just see you being able to take like these sharp turns and these sharp, like it's like I can hear the squeal of tires as God is like changing the direction of your course. And you're going in one way and all of a sudden you find yourself going in the other way. But I just see this like real embracing of it. It's this place of like just such surrender that you're in, where it's like, you're like, okay, Jesus, I don't know what you're doing, but I am up for the ride. And so he's taking you on this grand adventure. And I just see so much joy. I just see joy. I see you swimming with joy, your family in joy, your children just being carriers of joy. And it's just like, it's almost like I can hear your little daughters, like little voices. And it's like, I hear them talking about like the happy Jesus, like, where it's like the happy Jesus, the fun Jesus, where other people have only heard about like, the angry God and the Jesus who died on the cross, which, and it's like, it's this different, it's this different DNA that they're carrying and that you're like instilling in them. And I just see like each of them carrying this message of the gospel and this message of Jesus, and really, that's what they're taking away from you. And this inheritance that you're putting in them is this real deep rooted like intimacy with this God who is so real and is so present and is just like in the absolute, like every day, every moment, of life. And so it's like, I just see your daughters, even from a young age, being able to engage and have this level of intimacy with Jesus, and to like live it so authentically in a way that is going to like cause, friends to notice, and people to ask questions, and even those who have heard about Jesus to, go deeper and ask those questions, because they're like, oh, my life is not impacted the way that theirs are, and so Colette, I just bless you just to continue. I see God is going to give you, I see some beautiful challenges coming for you as you're raising your kids in ways that like he's really gonna up level you, because like there are things that your daughters are going to encounter and experience in the spirit realm, even at young ages, where it's like you didn't experience that like in your youth and childhood. So it's like he's gonna give you, I just see him giving you these like almost like complex spiritual concepts in ways that things of the kingdom that most people don't even know about, but you're able to like translate it in a way that it is like relatable and to be teachable for your children. And so I just see like God really giving you this way to like communicate, and just to communicate these advanced and complex things, these ideas and concepts in a way that even a little child can understand. And it's just so beautiful. And so I really see you doing that. And you're training up children in the way that they should go, and they will not depart from it. Yeah. So bless you. Awesome. All right. Do I have another one? Let me see. All right, Holy Spirit, who is being highlighted? Josie Lavoie. Josie, yeah. Yeah, Josie, I see, I can see these like these little like glory encounters that God is bringing you on and bringing you in. And it's like, I see this like invitation. It's like just this invitation where you're positioning yourself into the, you're positioning yourself in the place of intimacy, and you're going, like, you're so hungry. I can feel your hunger for the things of God, Josie. And, you've been going after the intimacy and the deeper understanding of, you trying to get out of the shallow water. And it's like, I just see that it's like God is taking you by the hand. He's taking you into the deep places. But I see you having these like delightful glory encounters that is so ministering to your child, like your child heart. Like it's not your inner child, but just that childlikeness. Like, because it says that we need to receive the kingdom like a child. It's that, like, you have that real childlike faith, Josie, to like believe God, to believe the word for what it says, and to like really just fully embrace and receive. And so it's like, I see that God, he's going to show you his glory, and he's going to, and actually, it's like when God will give us one measure, he'll give us one measure of the glory. And then as we steward it, we steward it, just kind of like Moses had the burning bush encounter. I'm kind of seeing this for you, Josie. I kind of feel like God is like showing up in like the burning bush, and so you're starting to have those encounters. And sometimes you're like, oh, is this God? Is this an angel? Is this, and you're starting to have these encounters. And so I just feel this word like, Josie, steward continue to steward it, and you're going to have these little like burning bush, so to speak, moments where you and God, where heaven's going to show up. It's going to be in your atmosphere, in your space. And as you continue to steward that, God is going to increase the glory, because, Moses, God met him in the burning bush. He stewarded that. And then next it was the pillar of fire, and he stewarded the fire as the fire led him in the wilderness. So that's the next stage, so as you steward it, and then finally, God came to Moses on the mountain, there was thunder and lightning and fire came down, and it was another measure of glory. And so I just see you, Josie, in this place of stewarding the little, small beginning measures of glory, but there's so much delight in it. And God is not about like, don't compare to like, oh, but it's not a mountain of fire. God is not about like tomorrow or future or that. He's like, it's this moment. Like, there's so much joy and delight in this moment. And so steward this moment. And he's just so pleased. And I just see him like being, that safe place for you. And really he's just so close to you. Like, he's so close, like touching you in this season. And I just see him bringing in some things that are, just things just simply to delight your heart and connections. And so just bless you to just enjoy your time with Jesus and steward the fire in this season. Yeah. Let me know if that resonates with you. Awesome. Yeah. So tomorrow evening, I'm going to be teaching. Monday evenings, I always teach my prophetic mentorship group from 7 to 8:30 p.m. I'm in my third year. It's been going, I guess, 2.5 years. It'll be 3 years this spring, but it's so much fun, really fruitful. Definitely upgrade in the training. So if you have already been in the mentorship group, maybe in the first year that I ran it, or even like a year and a half ago, and you've gone out, just know that the training is continually growing. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about how, through prophecy, so I'm moving beyond just the basics of hearing the voice of God into deeper levels of prophetic, because, we all need to get the foundations laid and learn how to hear the voice of God, but there's so much more. And so I just feel this like real pull to go on to the greater things. And so actually tomorrow in mentorship, we're going to talk about how to prophesy and release atmosphere, and so it's not just about the words that we say, but it's about our connection with the kingdom. What is the kingdom? Righteousness, joy, peace, hope, love, and it's releasing the atmospheres of the kingdom when we prophesy, and I talked at the beginning about how we need to, grow in our discernment. And this is an important thing. We need to be able to discern the atmosphere, so when I prophesy, you need to be able to discern, okay, what is being released out of my mouth? What is the fruit of it? Do you see the glory of man, or do you see the glory of God? Do you see the fruit of the Spirit, or do you encounter another kind of fruit, when I open my mouth? And, and so this is it. It's the growing in discernment. And so I'm running, it's November 24th. So till the end of November, I have a $200 off discount for the mentorship group. I ask students to sign up for 6 months at a time. I know some people have done like 4-week courses, 8-week courses, shorter times, but we don't grow and develop our gifts by just playing in the shallow water. It's an investment of time and energy extended, where we just continue to work our muscles, get strong new covenant foundations laid for prophetic, and grow deeper in intimacy with God. So I would love to have some of you guys join us tomorrow. And you can sign up anytime, but there is a discount in November. So $200 off, and I will put the link in the comments. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining and for listening, giving me your ear.